You were listening to ChartingWealth.com for Thursday, the 13th of April, 2017. The market is doing exactly what we wanted it to do, what our weekly vertical crossovers tell us that it should be doing. Stocks are down, gold and bonds are up. Let's jump into the S&P 500 as depicted by SPY, the exchange-traded fund that tracks the S&P 500 index of stocks, the big volume stocks that move so much of the volume in the market. What do we see going on? Down almost 0.5% for the day, 0.44%. Of course, we had our weekly vertical crossover that occurred. We announced that to everyone. It happened right there at the end of March, beginning of April. We jumped in on that following Monday after the weekly vertical crossover on that Friday. I believe that was the 31st of March. And of course, we jumped in on Monday, the 3rd. What do we see going on? Well, exactly what we told you would happen according to the weekly vertical crossover. The market is going down. We actually look at our 2-day chart. It rotated over back on the 16th. If we call up our weekly chart, we can see that weekly vertical crossover crossing over on Friday, the 31st of March. And over the last 2 weeks, market heading down, derivative oscillator really heating up along with the price percent oscillator. Now we are, of course, in that trade, have been in that trade since that prior Monday, the 3rd of April, and things have gone well. Let's see, the market was somewhere, around, it opened at about 135, and of course, where is it now? It's hit a low over the course of the last 2 days of 233.77. What's going on in the market? Well, we can tell the market topped out. The S&P did all the way back on the 2nd of March. It struggled sideways for a while, dropped over, picked up enough steam to pull our weekly vertical crossover right there at the end of March, and then tried to hold itself up over the next few days, and of course since has started dropping. Now what's happened? So we know where we are there. We're currently in that weekly vertical crossover. If you didn't receive that on a text message, then you need to sign up for our text service. We got several hundred people that receive that for free. We may be sending one out over the weekend as we go to our next chart. And I'm going to tell you how to receive that. How do you do it? You text to the number 33222, and this is also in the show notes for those of you who subscribe either at YouTube or even better, if you subscribe to the daily podcast that you get in your email every day at chartingwealth.com. The instructions are there. You text to the number 33222. You text the word Charting Wealth. We will then notify you of weekly vertical crossovers. Again, we do not share our emails or that number with anyone. We will simply send you, we've promised not to send more than 6 texts a month. Typically, it's 1 to 2. So if you would like to be notified, we would be happy to do that. Now, let's talk about what we see going on. Remember, the Qs rotated over going up all the way back on the 6th of January. Well, it peaked out somewhere around, around about the 30th of March or the 5th of April. Maybe the 5th of April has been the top out point for the 2-day candle there. And then the market started moving down. It's actually broken through the weekly weekly trend line. We saw the 2-day vertical crossover occur back on the 10th of March. Now, if we take a look on our weekly chart, what are we looking for? We are seeing a weekly vertical crossover starting to occur. We will not call that until the market closes on Thursday. Remember, there is no market closing on Friday this week because the market is closed. So the last day of the week is actually the 13th. So at the end of business on the 13th, we will make a call as to whether or not there's a weekly vertical crossover. We'd like to see the market go down more. There be a much more stronger vertical crossover with also the derivative oscillator going into the red, into the negative. It hasn't done that yet. Feel a whole lot better about it. Why? Because if the week surges, the new week surges, it could literally bounce off and go right back up. We do not want to see that happen. That sort of happened right around the 30th of January, where the market looked like it was going to cross over going up, then crossed back over going down, but then very shortly after that, crossed back over going up. We like there to be clean crossing overs. But again, sometimes when the market is trying to figure its way out, it crosses and then recrosses. We're very careful and cognizant of that. That's why we want to make sure that we still have a strong down move on our 2-day chart when that weekly occurs. But continue to follow us, sign up for the text notification, and we will let you know if indeed that happens at the end of the week. And we'll be watching to get in on Monday at 10:30 a.m. if everything looks great, and we will start writing down the cues. Now, how do you do that? Just as a quick aside, well, you can go in and buy something. And again, your virtual trade, you can go in and buy something like the ProShares Short QQQ. It's just a short. It's not a double or a triple. Nothing dangerous there, but you can jump into that once we have a confirmed weekly vertical crossover. And again, virtually trade that. If you haven't already opened up your virtual trading account, you need to do so because you want to practice doing these things. You're not out spending real money until you get very, very good at this. And when you get very, very good at it, then you can make up your own mind. We're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. So be watching PSQ because that might be what you look to do a virtual buy on so that you can ride it up. That means it's a short, so it goes up when the Qs goes down. We will continue, though, to only review the Qs. We're trying to keep it simple. We're not going to start switching over when there's inverse trades going on to different funds. We're going to stay with the Qs, just like we're currently staying on the down trade with the S&P 500. So the market is doing exactly what we have expected it to do. It is topped out and moving down. What does that mean as we look at TLT, the bonds? Well, where does money go when stocks aren't doing so well? Goes into bonds, goes into gold. That's why we look at these inversely related funds so that we're able to find up trades when the market's going down. What do we see going on? Well, of course, bonds pretty much bottomed out at around $117 or so, right around there. And we've seen it tag that couple of 3 times and it push off. Remember, our weekly vertical crossover occurred all the way back at the beginning of February. We saw that weekly vertical. What happened? The market slid sideways, dropped a little, tested the bottom again, and then started moving up. We had the 2-day crossover going up, and of course, we've continued to see up for the day 0.55%. If we look at our 2-day chart, we saw it bounce off and start moving up quite nicely around 10:30 on the 11th. Remember, we never buy into anything in the market before 10:30. We call that idiot hour. Market maker has a whole lot of control. Then we wait for the market to settle out and then look at a potential buying in point 10:30 or later. And of course, what's happened? Well, if we look at our 30-minute chart and go back to the 11th around 10:30, we see that the buying point, the opening was 121.59. Where are we now? We're up to 122.96. The high, 122. Well, gosh, the high all the way up to 123.15. So again, $1.50 or so. That's pretty good over just a couple of days. And how do you do that? Well, of course, you want to pay attention to your crossovers and to your 2-hour chart along with your 2-day chart. There was another buying in point, of course, around, well, that would have been around noon or so, all the way back on the 10th at around 121.26. So again, and of course, another potential buy-in point as that 2-day chart's wrapping around at about 120.85. So again, we are simply following what we're seeing on our 2-day chart. Of course, the big kahuna is that weekly vertical crossover. That's what we keep looking for. And as we move to gold, let's take a look at gold. Where's gold? Of course, on the weekly chart, that weekly vertical crossover occurred all the way back on the 27th. What have we seen happen? Well, gold has gone up that next week. We'll just sort of take a quick look at where gold started. It opened around 114. The high that week was 116.57. Of course, gold ended the day on Wednesday. I guess the high throughout the course of the day so far, 122.22. So again, not a bad return in gold throughout that course of time. And again, all sorts of buying points throughout. But what do we always look for? We look for that weekly vertical crossover on a Friday, followed by a buy-in point on that following Monday at 10:30. If your 2-day chart is still in a nice up move, that typically we have found during this last season from about the beginning of the year that has worked for us time and time again quite well. Isn't it wonderful when the charts are doing what we are expecting them to do with our trend following? It is beautiful, my friends. Continue to study with us, to practice with us, and to watch these spectacular results. Already for the year, up on just 3 charts. We didn't even bother to track the S&P 500 because a weekly vertical crossover occurred in the prior year. But just on the Qs, gold and TLT, we've already had gains just in the months of January, February, and March, 16+%. Come on, and that's in real price gains. That's not in options. Oh man, in options, I mean, you can monkey the numbers however you want. If you're buying, way out of the money options and you're watching this kind of acceleration in price, you see all sorts of great virtual trades. So again, please follow with us. We love to hear from you. If questions, problems, concerns, you can always write us cw@chartingwealth.com. That's CW as in Charting Wealth, CW@chartingwealth.com, or just go to the website Charting Wealth under Contact Us. Got a little fill-in-the-blank form there. You can send us whatever questions you have. We're always happy to hear from you. We appreciate you. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure to sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're well over a couple of thousand now. And of course, you guys have made us as high as number 5 in the world for stock trading. We so appreciate that, and just all the support you give us, we are so appreciative for. And say nice things about us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating. Thank you so much, folks. If you've not already subscribed, do so. With that, of course, your subscription at Charting Wealth, you will receive our How to Read a Stock Chart video, the layout that we use at freestockcharts.com, plus links to our daily market worksheet and our weekly market worksheet. Thanks so much, my friends. God bless from chartingwealth.com.